My husband spent $11.5K from our baby fund on his mistress's BBL while telling me we couldn't afford diapers. He called me too basic and let her pick our nursery colors, then said I wasn't wife enough to be a mom, but I sent the surgery receipt to her job and then watched everything burn. I still remember staring at the bank app on my phone, my hands shaking so hard I almost dropped it. Our joint account was overdrawn, again. I thought maybe it was another gas charge or some late automatic payment we forgot about. But then I saw it, $11,500, a payment to a cosmetic surgery center in Miami. My first thought wasn't even anger, it was confusion. I was 8 months pregnant, swollen, tired, working part-time from home because the doctor told me to take it easy. My husband, Jason, had been telling me for weeks that money was tight. He said we had to pause our baby fund, that diapers and a crib could wait until after his next commission check came in. I believed him. I felt guilty for even suggesting we buy new onesies. But that charge, it wasn't medical insurance or anything baby-related. I Googled the name on the statement, Lux Sculpt Aesthetics, a body sculpting clinic. When I called the number, pretending to be a client, the receptionist chirped, "Yes, Miss Rivera's surgery was performed on the 9th. Would you like to schedule a consult, Miss Rivera?" I didn't know any Miss Rivera, but I knew Jason's phone had a Jess R. He texted a lot lately. He said she was a coworker. I had even made her coffee once when she stopped by to pick up paperwork. My chest tightened so hard I had to sit down. My baby kicked, like he felt my heart drop too. When Jason got home that night, I was sitting at the kitchen table with the printed bank statement in front of me. He barely looked up from his phone before saying, "Why do you look like that?" I slid the paper toward him. "You want to explain why our baby's savings went to someone's ass?" He didn't even blink. He laughed. Then he said, "At least one of us should look good. You've kind of let yourself go." That's when I knew something inside me snapped. I wasn't crying anymore. I was cold. Quiet. He tried to justify it. Said Jess was helping him feel alive again. Said I was too basic, and that she understood the grind. Then, as if twisting a knife, he told me she even helped him choose between our nursery paint samples because she has better taste. When I finally broke down, shaking and sobbing, Jason just stared. Then said, "You're not wife enough to be a mother anyway." That sentence killed something in me, but I didn't scream. I didn't throw things. I just went quiet. Because somewhere in that silence, something darker, colder was born. 3 days later, while Jason was at work, I gathered every receipt, text, and call log I could find. And when I saw that her surgery invoice had her full name, address, and employer on it, I knew exactly what to do. The day after I sent the envelope to her HR department, everything started to burn. Jason and I had been together for 6 years, married for 3. We met in Tampa when we both worked at a car dealership, him in sales, me in finance. He was charming in that salesman way, all confidence and easy smiles. I used to joke that he could sell air to a drowning man. Back then, I thought that meant he was driven. Turns out, it meant he was manipulative as hell. When we first started dating, he made me feel like I was the center of his world. Every morning text, every "you're my future" speech, every surprise lunch at my desk, I fell for all of it. He wasn't rich, but he worked hard, and I respected that. We built our lives slowly. We got a modest 2-bedroom house. I handled the bills, he handled the big money decisions. He said that made him feel like the man. I didn't argue, I just wanted peace. When I found out I was pregnant, he cried. Actual tears. Said he'd been waiting for this moment his whole life. We painted the nursery together, soft sage green, because he said blue was too cliché. We talked about names. I picked Noah. He said he liked it, but later I overheard him tell a friend he preferred Jace. I brushed it off. I brushed off a lot of things back then, like the late nights, the new cologne, the gym membership that started the same week he had to work late 3 times in a row, or the way he kept his phone face down whenever we were together. There were red flags, but I was busy being pregnant, busy believing we were a team. Money got weird around my 2nd trimester. He said his commissions were delayed, and we had to dip into savings. I didn't question it too much. I was too tired to fight. When I asked about the baby fund, he told me, "Don't stress about money, stress is bad for the baby." He made it sound like caring about our finances was selfish. Then came Jess. He mentioned her casually one night, said she was new to the dealership and eager to learn. I thought nothing of it. I even encouraged him to mentor her because he'd been saying he wanted a promotion. I met her once, when she stopped by our house to drop off paperwork. She was beautiful, in that polished Instagram way, lashes, contour, bodycon dress. I remember feeling self-conscious standing next to her in my maternity leggings and messy bun. Jason introduced her like it was nothing, even joked, "She's the next me, just prettier." Jess laughed. I didn't. After that, her name came up more, too much. Jess said this. Jess thinks that. He'd even show me memes she sent him, private jokes that I didn't understand. I started noticing how he dressed better for work. New shoes, fresh haircut. He'd come home smelling like coconut lotion, and when I mentioned it, he said it was from the air freshener in Jess's car. Still, I stayed quiet. I told myself I was hormonal, paranoid, until that bank statement showed up. That piece of paper ripped the curtain off everything. Because the truth was, he hadn't just betrayed me financially or emotionally. He'd taken money meant for our child and used it to build up the body of the woman he was cheating on me with. That's not just infidelity. That's evil. So when I mailed that envelope, the one with her surgery receipt, screenshots, and Jason's texts calling her my motivation, to her company's HR department, I made sure the subject line said, "Unauthorized employee relationship and misuse of company time." And 2 days later, everything started collapsing fast. The first explosion came on a Wednesday afternoon. I was folding baby clothes when Jason burst through the door, red-faced and shaking. He didn't even shut it behind him. "What the F did you do?" he shouted. I didn't answer right away. I kept folding. It drove him crazy. "She got suspended," he yelled. "HR called her in and showed her the envelope. You signed it, didn't you?" That was the moment I looked up. Calm, colder than I'd ever been. "Good," I said. "Now she'll have time to heal from her surgery without taking PTO." He slammed his hand on the table so hard a picture frame fell. "You ruined her career. She's been crying all day." I laughed quietly. "Oh, poor thing. Maybe next time she won't spend another woman's baby fund on a new ass." Jason's voice cracked when he said, "You don't get it. She's been through a lot." That sentence made me see him clearly for the first time. I wasn't his wife anymore, I was an obstacle. He wasn't sorry. He was angry that I'd embarrassed them. He spent the next week sulking, sleeping on the couch, making snide comments every chance he got. Every time I passed him, he muttered something like, "You'll regret this." But then his threats turned into desperation. His manager called one night, asking if everything was okay because Jason had walked out of a client meeting. The next day, I found a hotel receipt in his truck. He'd been staying with Jess, of course, except something wasn't right. His paychecks stopped coming into our account. He wasn't answering texts from his boss. When I checked his email, yes, I knew his password. I found out he'd been put on leave for unprofessional conduct. Apparently, his relationship with Jess had caused drama at work, and clients complained about their behavior. I thought I'd feel relief, but what I felt instead was this eerie quiet, like the calm before something worse. Because a few nights later, he came home drunk. Not tipsy, obliterated. He banged on the door at 2 a.m. until I opened it. His face was puffy and wet from crying. He kept saying, "She's gone. She ing left me." Apparently, Jess had dumped him once the suspension hit and the surgery payments got attention. HR was investigating whether Jason had used company money or time to help her schedule the surgery. She blocked his number and told him never to contact her again. He sat on our couch, sobbing like a child. "You ruined my life," he kept saying. I watched him cry for her while I was 8 months pregnant with his child. And I felt absolutely nothing. That's when I started my own investigation. I wasn't satisfied with Jess losing her job. I wanted to know how deep this hole went. So I logged into his email again, checked his deleted messages. And that's when I found something worse than the surgery payment. He'd taken out a $7,000 personal loan 2 months earlier using my name as a co-signer. I never signed anything. He'd forged it. And the money, he sent it straight to her. That was the night I stopped thinking like a wife. I started thinking like someone who was going to bury him. Financially, socially, emotionally. The forged loan hit me like a second betrayal layered over the first. He hadn't just cheated. He'd put my name, my credit, and our baby's future on the line. I called the bank first thing the next morning, my hands trembling as I explained what happened. The woman on the phone went quiet when I mentioned the forged signature. She told me I'd have to come in and file an affidavit. When I hung up, Jason was standing in the doorway. He'd slept there in his car like some martyr. His eyes were bloodshot. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Fixing what you broke," I said flatly. He smirked, that same arrogant twist of the mouth that used to charm me once. "You're not gonna ruin my credit over this. You need me. You're about to pop." That sentence made me want to scream. He still thought I was powerless. I said nothing. I got dressed, drove to the bank, filed the affidavit, and froze the joint account. Then I called my cousin Marcus, who worked in it for a private investigation firm in Orlando. I asked if he could help me recover deleted texts from Jason's phone backup. He didn't ask why, he just said, "Give me 24 hours." That night, Jason came storming in again, this time with flowers. "Let's just talk," he said. "We can fix this, I can fix this." I told him there was nothing to fix. He didn't like that. He started pacing, calling me ungrateful, crazy, hormonal. He said I'd made everything worse by involving Jess's job. But right in the middle of his rant, my phone buzzed. A message from Marcus. It was a folder of screenshots, texts between Jason and Jess going back months. I scrolled while Jason kept talking, his voice fading to a low hum. And then I froze. Because one of the messages from Jess read, "She's not really pregnant, right? You said it might not even be yours." And Jason's reply was, "If it's mine, we'll handle it. If not, she's gone anyway. Either way, I'm not getting stuck." I felt my body go numb. My stomach, my chest, my throat all empty. He was planning to leave me no matter what. He had been telling her I lied about being pregnant. "Jason," I said slowly, "when were you planning to tell me you thought this baby wasn't yours?" The color drained from his face. "What are you talking about?" I held up the phone. "These. Your words, 'If it's mine, we'll handle it.'" He lunged for the phone. I stepped back. "You went through my stuff," he snapped. "You forged a loan and spent our baby's money on your side piece," I said. "You don't get to play victim." He stood there breathing hard, fists tight. "You're insane," he said finally. "You're gonna regret this when I take that kid from you." And then he stormed out. That was the last time he ever slept under our roof. Because I wasn't just done. I was ready. And I had no idea yet, no idea that Jess wasn't the end of it. There was someone else in this story, someone even dirtier than him. And that discovery would change everything. After that night, I stopped crying completely. Something in me shut off like a switch. Every time Jason texted, every voicemail he left crying or threatening, I saved it all. I knew I'd need every word. Marcus came through again. He helped me back up Jason's deleted emails. That's when I realized the forged loan wasn't the only fraud. Jason had been siphoning small amounts out of our joint account for months, labeling them as auto payments. He'd moved over $3,000 total into a separate account I never knew existed. That account was under his name and Jess's. I couldn't believe how stupid he was linking his mistress to a shared bank account while married. That was my leverage. I called a lawyer, explained everything. The forgery, the misuse of marital funds, the affair. She didn't even flinch. "Gather proof and don't confront him until you've protected yourself legally," she said. "You're in a strong position." That night, I stayed up late in the nursery, surrounded by the half-finished crib and unopened boxes. I stared at the baby mobile hanging from the ceiling, little clouds and stars, and decided I was going to destroy Jason methodically. Slowly, in a way he couldn't talk himself out of. Step 1 was financial. I closed the joint accounts, removed his name from the house, and froze all shared credit cards. I set up new ones in my name only. Step 2 was legal. I reported the forgery to the police. The detective said it qualified as financial fraud. He asked if I wanted to press charges. "Not yet," I said. "Let's give him some rope first." Step 3 was personal. I called his boss, pretending to be confused about some HR emails. I asked if Jason's personal relationship had affected his standing. The pause on the other end told me everything. He was under internal review. Perfect. But my real plan wasn't just to punish him. It was to expose him. To make sure everyone who ever believed his family man act saw exactly what kind of person he really was. So I started compiling everything. Screenshots, statements, photos, even the text where he called me basic, and said, "Jess, Deserved, the baby fund more than I did. I made a shared Google Drive folder called Jason Rivera, Financial Misconduct and Infidelity Evidence. I set it to public link access. Then I drafted one simple email to his entire work team, HR department, his family group chat, and a few mutual friends. Subject: for transparency. Body: Jason has accused me of lying and misusing money. Here's proof of where it really went. Attachment: the link. But before I could hit send, something else hit me, a new document in his recovered email folder. A receipt, dated 3 months earlier, from the same surgery clinic. Except this one wasn't under Jess's name. It was under M. Rivera, his mother's name. That's when I realized this ran way deeper than an affair. And his mom, the woman who told me Jason just needs time to adjust when he moved out, wasn't just covering for him. She was in on it. The M. Rivera on that receipt kept staring at me from my phone screen. His mother's name, Marisol Rivera. I zoomed in, half hoping it was a typo, half terrified it wasn't. Same clinic, same date format. Different procedure code, lipo plus facial filler. And the payment method? My credit card. That was the moment I understood the timeline all wrong. Jess's surgery hadn't been the first time he stole from me. He'd been using my cards months earlier, paying for his mother's refresh. And she knew. She had to know because she'd texted me 2 weeks after that date saying, "Thank you for letting Jason help me out. You're such a blessing to this family." I'd thought she meant helping around the house. No, she'd been thanking me for footing her surgery bill. I called Marcus right away. He ran a quick trace on the clinic receipts and confirmed both transactions used the same billing address, our home. Jason had put our address on his mother's surgery forms. Everything tied back to me. My stomach turned. The man who said I wasn't wife enough to be a mother had built an entire little economy on my name. And his mother, the woman who'd held my baby shower registry and hugged me like I was her daughter, was standing shoulder to shoulder with him. That night, she called me just to check in. Her voice all soft honey. "Sweetheart, Jason told me you've been under stress. You know men do silly things when they feel neglected." Neglected. That word lit me up inside. I said nothing for a long time, just listened. Then she slipped. "Well, I told him not to use that card again after what happened with my surgery. I warned him you'd notice." My grip tightened on the phone. "What did you just say?" Silence, then a small gasp. "Oh, I didn't mean..." Click, that was it, confirmation. She knew about every charge, every lie, and she'd helped cover it. For a few minutes I just sat there shaking, feeling that deep animal urge to scream. But instead, I opened my laptop. If Jason's downfall was already in motion, his mother's would be the final act. I started digging. Marcus helped again. He found her social profiles, her work email, and a charity board listing where she served as treasurer. That was the key. Because public charities require honest financial declarations. And if the IRS or the donors saw she'd accepted money she didn't declare, it would look like fraud. I wasn't going to forge anything or make false claims. I just had to show truth. And I already had the receipts, literally. 2 surgeries, both paid from my household accounts, both filed under false pretenses. By the time I finished the spreadsheet, my plan was clear. Jason thought losing Jess was his punishment. Marisol thought she could glide above it all. They were about to learn what happens when the woman you called too basic decides to go nuclear quietly. I always thought Jason's cheating was about lust, maybe ego. But what I uncovered next showed me it was something darker. Something cold. When Marcus helped me pull old messages from Jason's backup files, we found a text thread between him and his mom that made my blood run cold. "Jason, if she's pregnant, I'm screwed." Marisol. "Then make her look unstable. You can't get tied to her money or that baby." Jason. "She's already suspicious." Marisol. "Then get ahead of it. Say she's depressed, overreacting. Make her doubt herself." That was before I even found out about the surgery, before everything. They'd been planning to push me out of my own life. Scrolling further down, I found the reason behind it all, the real reason. Jason was drowning in debt from gambling. He'd been borrowing money under fake names, even tried to use my credit to take out another loan. The baby fund wasn't just spent on his mistress or his mother's vanity, it was part of a desperate cover-up. He'd told Marisol he planned to clean out the joint account before the baby came, because once the baby was born, I'd have legal leverage. His mom encouraged him. She literally wrote, "Do what you have to do, me. Start over, she'll survive." He wasn't planning a family. He was planning an escape. The surgeries were bribes, the BBL for Jess, the lipo for Marisol, rewards for their loyalty while he erased me financially. He wanted to look like the good guy while making me seem unhinged and broke. When I read that, something in me went quiet again, but this time not from shock, from resolve. All those months he called me paranoid, hormonal, too emotional. All those times his mother told me to focus on my health while secretly helping him steal from me. They'd been gaslighting me to the edge on purpose, trying to get me to snap so they could take everything. It wasn't carelessness. It was strategy. That's what chilled me, how calculated it all was. Every word he said suddenly made sense. Don't stress about money, stress is bad for the baby. Stop going through the bank account, you'll just upset yourself. Mom said you're too sensitive lately. He was isolating me piece by piece, making me doubt my own mind. Also, he could drain me and walk away clean. And his mother. She didn't just know. She taught him how. I sat in that nursery, surrounded by the faint smell of fresh paint and unopened baby boxes, realizing that both of them had looked at my life like a credit line to exploit. That's when I decided their ruin wouldn't just be emotional or financial, it would be public, documented, irreversible. Because the kind of evil that plans your destruction while smiling at your baby shower doesn't deserve quiet consequences. It deserves a spotlight. 2 weeks later, I launched everything. No yelling, no drama, just a quiet detonation. First, the email. I sent it at 9 o'clock sharp on a Monday, the busiest hour of the week for Jason's dealership. It went to HR, every regional manager, and his corporate compliance department. The link contained all of it: the forged loan documents, the payment receipts, the screenshots with Jess and his mom, the messages about making me look unstable. The folder title: Proof of Misconduct and Financial Fraud, Jason Rivera. Within 3 hours, his employee access was revoked. By noon, I got a call from one of his coworkers saying he'd been escorted out. They all saw it. Everyone. By that evening, the Google Drive link had made its way around our entire social circle. Our mutual friends, even his cousins. The comments were brutal. No one defended him. Not even Jess. She messaged me privately and said, "I didn't know he used your money. I thought he was single. I'm sorry." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Then I turned my focus to his mother. I printed every document showing her involvement. The surgery receipt under her name, the text messages where she admitted to knowing, and the timestamps proving she encouraged the fraud. I attached them to an anonymous email and sent them directly to the charity board she served on as treasurer. A week later, she resigned for personal reasons. The organization posted a vague statement online about financial inconsistencies. Jason called me 3 times that day. I let them all go to voicemail. His voice cracked in everyone, switching from begging to anger to threats. "You think you won, huh? You think anyone's gonna love you after this?" But I'd already stopped needing anyone's love. By then, my attorney had filed for divorce and a restraining order. The detective confirmed there was enough evidence to pursue fraud charges. Jason would be facing both civil and criminal consequences. When the papers were served, I didn't even open the door. I just watched from the window as he read them, his face pale, lips trembling. He looked like a man finally realizing the storm he'd created was real. I had our baby 2 weeks later. Alone, but not broken. My son was born healthy. His eyes were this deep, steady brown, not Jason's shallow hazel, but my own. After the hospital, I went home to our quiet house, now fully mine. The nursery was finished, sage green walls, little gold stars painted above the crib. It was peaceful. I picked up my son and whispered, "You'll never have to unlearn the kind of love I accepted." The next morning, I got an email from Jason's mother, just 2 lines: "You've ruined my family. I hope you're proud." I stared at it for a minute, then replied, "I didn't ruin your family, I just showed everyone what it really was." Then I blocked her. That night, I deleted the Google Drive folder, not because I regretted it, but because the point had been made. Their reputations were already ashes. And when I tucked my son into his crib, I finally felt something close to peace. Because revenge isn't about screaming or breaking things. It's about making sure they remember who they tried to destroy and realizing you survived anyway. Final line: he took my baby fund for someone else's body. But in the end, I built a life he'll never afford again.